Coming up on Tech News today, Yahoo CEO is a liar. Also, Microsoft seems to hate DVDs, and the FBI just wants to tap your everything. All that and more coming up.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Friday, May 4th, 2012. Tech News Today is brought to you by GoToMeeting. Meet face-to-face from anywhere in the world with GoToMeeting with HD Faces. For your free 30-day trial, visit GoToMeeting.com, promo code TNT. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Sarah Lane.
I'm Iyaz Akhtar.
I'm Darren Kitchen.
And I'm Jason Howell.
And this is the show where we kick around the Tech News Today, try to make some sense of it all. We've got a lying liar and the lying lies that he lied about on his resume to kick off the show today.
Yes. It's funny what happens between the time that we all wrap up a show and then drive home and then maybe take a breather, open back up Twitter, and then go, what are all these jokes about resumes?
Yeah.
What is this in reference to?
Scott Thompson, resume, liar. What's up with that?
News happened pretty fast yesterday afternoon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in chronological order because in the last 2 days, a lot of things happened. So 2 days ago, Yahoo issued a letter to their investors. They were pumping up the company and their future and saying a lot of things. Among making clear that disgruntled shareholder Dan Loeb, who's a 6% owner of Yahoo, which is bigger than any current board member, he wants to be a board member, by the way, should not get a board seat, said Yahoo. The board continues to believe that Mr. Loeb himself does not bring the relevant skill and experience to the board, particularly in comparison to the candidates selected by the board. So basically they're saying, no, buddy, just no. Even though you've got a lot of power, we don't want you on the board. Well, that obviously ruffled his feathers, and he's had issues with Yahoo in the past. He's been pretty vocal about the fact that he doesn't think that Yahoo management has made good decisions, particularly over the last year. Not only does he want a board seat, but he wants to nominate another board seat, and he's made some suggestions already. So yesterday, Dan Loeb sends a letter to Yahoo board claiming that CEO Scott Thompson somehow added a computer science degree to his resume that shouldn't have been there. That doesn't actually exist.
This must be a misunderstanding, right?
So, yeah, the journalist said, well, this is Dan Loeb now. Okay, what's going on? Is he somehow right? Turns out, Thompson went to Stonehill College, this is outside of Boston, from 1975 to 1979. Stonehill College was contacted, and they have confirmed that Thompson graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration, otherwise known as accounting. He doesn't have a computer science degree, and there wasn't a computer science degree while he was in college there.
So this
to
isn't
have
like,
even as a minor or an emphasis or anything.
We had concentrations in journalism school at U of I, and I will sometimes say I minored in philosophy, but it actually was a concentration, not an official minor.
Yes.
So it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, well, what I really meant was I minored in computer science. There was no computer science at all for him to even minor in.
And it's not as if somehow it got flipped, because this was in addition to his accounting degree that has been all over bios over the last 6 or so years. In fact, both Yahoo and eBay, which he was previously president of, company bios say Scott received a bachelor's in accounting and computer science from Stonehill College. Now, in eBay's SEC papers, that was not the case. So you figure, okay, well, somewhere between SEC filing papers of Scott's history at eBay and the bio that went online at eBay, something was added.
Somebody decided to go, I think he had a computer science degree.
Sure. So you figure, okay, maybe this is an honest mistake, but why did it get included in Yahoo's regulatory SEC filings as well?
Cut and paste. Somebody took it off the eBay site.
Somebody did like a find and replace with their, like, who's the old CEO? I don't know. Let's just find and replace his name, put Scott Thompson's in, and of course the bio is the same. I mean, they all have the same degrees, right? Because they're qualified to be run this.
Or Scott Thompson actually kind of considers himself somebody with a computer science degree because he learned how to grep his resume, pipe that to SED, and do an S/business administration/computer science/G for global.
Scott Thompson doesn't know what you're talking about.
Are you
Yeah,
sure?
well, that's for sure.
If you have to put it in
Somebody
accounting
listening
terms.
But wait, you
does.
guys, it gets better.
Oh,
it
really?
gets better.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, 2 days. 2 days of fun. So Dan Loeb is not done now.
Oh,
he has
more from
also
Loeb.
called into question the amount of vetting, basically like, hey, we need a new CEO at Yahoo. Let's pick the best candidate, done by the board, and particularly board member Patty Hart on the CEO choice. She was sort of leading the charge. She was appointed as head of this project. He claims that Hart changed her degree from Illinois State College from business administration to something a little bit fancier, economics and marketing. Now,
Well,
you
that's
could
just
say,
playing fast and loose.
well, yeah, I mean, it's semantics.
Yeah.
So do they sort of mean the same thing? Well, they're different. Her official degree says something other than what she has been claiming. So he's saying there's a common thread here. They're trying to make themselves better. So it's either coincidental that this is both happening or not. We don't know yet. All right, so Yahoo had to respond to all of this, of course. First response was this was an inadvertent error on his bio. It's, these things happen type of a thing. However, nobody really took that to heart because you figure, hey, one minor bio issue at eBay, okay, the president of eBay, right? You're president of eBay. Then people are looking through every little piece of information about you in order to be hired as the CEO of Yahoo, which has had an extremely hard time with the CEO position as of late. A lot of eyeballs are on you. They don't see anything wrong, and you don't say anything. And it gets filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission that you have a degree that you don't have. Okay, so Yahoo now says, in connection with the statement the company made earlier today about Scott Thompson, the Yahoo board will be reviewing this matter, and upon completion of its review, will make appropriate disclosure to shareholders. So they're basically saying there might be more to this than just a little mistake.
Yeah.
We gotta make sure that we take this seriously.
Maybe Scott Thompson comes from an alternate universe in which Zeppelins carry people instead of airplanes, and Stonehill College had a computer science program when he attended there.
That's the most plausible
I think it is.
thing here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting past the whole lying bit, though. Okay, it's let's set aside that he should not have lied. He should have corrected this mistake, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, is it bad to have a business administration degree if you want to be CEO of a company? It's not like that makes him unqualified.
But it's not about that. It's about the fact that there were credentials that he's claiming that he doesn't have. Now, you might say let's say you're not in the camp of he obviously lied. Maybe you're in the camp of this was just a very careless error. Somebody didn't dot the I's and cross the T's properly. Maybe that is possible. Well, audio interview from a Tech Nation radio show in 2009 when Thompson was president of PayPal. Moira Gunn, who was the interviewer, asked him, your bachelor's degree is in accounting and computer science. Now, from both of those, that's pretty obvious. That's PayPal. What are the most important things that you've learned? Thompson says, yeah, goes on to speak of tech training at Stonehill College and calls himself an engineer. So, okay, if you're still wanting to say maybe he just didn't hear her or was thinking about something else or was tired that day, it's like, okay, if he absolutely didn't lie about this, which is, I mean, it's looking bad for him. He also doesn't sound like he's the sort of person who's very detail-oriented. And now he's running a company that really needs somebody.
Want someone who's detail-oriented in charge of Yahoo?
Well,
Apparently
yeah.
not.
Yeah. I mean, he's got a big job ahead of him, and he seems like he's either a liar or he's just not paying enough attention to anything.
This is a bachelor's degree, so theoretically this should stop him from getting his first job. I think the thing is, if people stop vetting you after a while, they're like, oh, well, of course you've risen through the ranks. You must have been okay, clearly, because why would you lie about this still, other than you just didn't update your resume after a long time? It just seems like it could have just been one early lie that just somehow comes up now. I don't know if it'll be grounds to get rid of him, because Thompson's made some aggressive moves to try to figure out what Yahoo does. So, I mean, he's been a lot more, I guess, active than I've seen Yahoo been in a long time. So I don't know if this is...
suing Facebook is a great move.
It's a move, right? It's better than, what are you going to do? How are you going to survive? Well, we want to own a piece of Facebook. Hopefully they'll give us a piece. They would settle out. Now, granted, in the press, Yahoo's doing a terrible job handling the way this is being handled, but it's a strategy nonetheless.
They could always just rectify the situation by sending Thompson to like introductory Java classes. You know, he could learn how to void ban like the rest of us.
Degree. I think that'd be fantastic.
Just get it over with.
Future
Go back
Thompson
to college.
is an engineer.
You know how Mayor Bloomberg signed up for the coding? Said he's like, yeah, I'm going to take coding classes.
Yeah.
That's what he should do. That would be brilliant. If
I mean,
he
it
came out
doesn't
and
sound
said,
like
look,
an Adam Sandler
I
movie at all.
apologize for this mistake. It should not have happened, and I'm going to take coding classes. Yahoo, there's your strategy.
There you
Darren
go.
just wrote it for you. That's exactly what they should do.
Wasn't that the premise of
100%.
You could go to Code Academy right now.
Yeah. Turn it into a Code Academy partnership.
For
I'm not
what
even
his
kidding.
demands
No,
are
yeah,
worth.
in fact, Yahoo could really push that too on their homepage.
Exactly.
Like, everybody learn to code with us.
Turn it into a win.
For what his demands are worth, Dan Loeb has
Won't help
written
Dan Loeb.
a new letter to the Yahoo board. He's loving this. And Loeb and his shareholder firm, Third Point, is calling for Yahoo to disclose details of Thompson's vetting process, revealing if any Yahoo directors knew about this little resume snafu. Also, Thompson should be fired. That's what Loeb and his firm say, as well as director Patty Hart, because she's not a very good recruiter either. Third Point says they'll consider it grounds for further action if the board doesn't take any following steps by noon Eastern time come Monday.
There was a TechCrunch article earlier today, too, that had a copy of the Yahoo Employee Manual from a few years ago, I think 2009, that did say if they found out you had lied on your resume, you would be fired. So,
That's,
hey,
Yeah.
you know, if it's 2009, he's out of there. I don't know if they changed the manuals.
But does it say he can be rehired?
Can you imagine like the point where they're like, maybe you're not fired if you lie on your resume. We should take this out of the employee manual.
Yeah.
Because there's so many gray
we're having
areas
a hard
when it
time
comes to
keeping
that.
people, so we really don't want to lose anyone.
And just pound include csdegree.h.
See,
What do you
Scott
guys?
Thompson still doesn't know what you're talking about.
Do you think he's out because of something like this? On the
This
surface,
is a
it
nightmare,
seems
yeah.
it seems like a little bit of like a that's unfortunate. It makes you look kind of stupid, but it's a pretty big deal.
The thing that he's got going for him is that no one else in the Yahoo board likes Dan Loeb. And so
Right.
they're now going to want to defend him in order to thwart Dan Loeb
The
from
thing
gaining
though is
power.
it's no longer really about Dan Loeb because we all know about it.
Well, yeah.
So
And
Dan
they're gonna have
Loeb
to do
might
something to
not
appease,
get what he wants,
Yeah.
but
I don't think this brings Scott Thompson down, but it's definitely going to undermine his ability to do his job, if nothing else.
a lot of jokes about engineering.
Yeah. Let's get to something actually happening. Oracle versus Google. Yeah, I know. Something actually happened. The jury came out and said, we have a verdict. Everyone scrambled. Everybody sent their breaking news announcements. There's a verdict in the Oracle Google. And then it turned into something that's not actually happening. The jury notified Judge William Alsup they had reached a unanimous decision on all but one question. The jury foreman was just about to reveal which question it was when Alsup cut him off, so we don't even know what question it is. But Alsup told the jurors that if there was a possibility for a decision to still be reached in the normal course of affairs, we should take advantage of that hope and spend one more day deliberating. So the jury was sent home for the weekend with the judge hoping that on a fresh, bright Monday morning, those were his words, literally, a complete decision may be reached. Oracle is in favor of a partial verdict, of them just saying, you know what, rule on those three questions and we'll either retry the other question or set it aside or whatever. Google opposes that. The judge has said that he would receive a partial verdict. He's okay with that. It seems like the infringement question is not the question that they can't agree on. We don't know for sure, but the best guess is that the fair use defense is the question they can't agree on, which would imply, if that's the case, that they have decided that Google infringed, but they don't know whether Google has a fair use defense or not.
Or potentially can imply the inverse, that they couldn't find infringement at all, and there's no reason to look at the fair use. Although that would mean they would agree on that, I'd assume.
Yeah, and it's more likely, I think, that if they have found infringement, that they would be struggling with the fair use, because that's what would cause a juror controversy. You would think a juror would dig his heels in on the fair use question if they didn't find infringement.
You ever been on a jury duty?
Well, yeah, I have, but you don't. So you think it's the opposite. You think it's more likely that they have.
I'm just saying that.
So
it's
in other
likely
words, the more likely thing is that we actually have them saying, "Yep, it's definitely infringing," but Google might have a fair use defense, and one juror is saying, "No, I don't think so," and another juror saying yes.
What I'm getting at is nothing's like super clear yet. Like we don't know what exactly they're stuck on because Judge Alsup stopped them from telling us exactly what they're held up.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that this is the more likely outcome here. Oracle has asked a judge to bar Google from using testimony given by Sun Microsystems CEO Jonathan Schwartz in the rest of the trial.
Why is that?
Schwartz is the one who said, yeah, we didn't think they needed a license for this. Oracle says it was a yes or no question. He shouldn't have volunteered an opinion. We don't want that to we think it has no legal and factual predicate. It was a yes or no question. And Google's Android mobile platform apparently resulted in a net loss for the company in every quarter of 2010, despite generating roughly $97.7 million. Allsup read that out in court.
That's only a monetary loss.
Yeah, but it affects the damages.
So it doesn't affect whether or not they were
guilty or
infringing
not.
for some sort of a reason. It's just what they might have to pay.
Exactly. Onward to Microsoft killing DVDs.
Yes, they are actually going out and killing all the DVDs.
Shooting them in the face.
Yes.
That is so violent.
If a DVD had a face, Microsoft would be shooting it. No, not at all. Here's what's going on. Windows 8 will not be bundled with DVD reading software. Now, if you want to watch a DVD on your Windows 8 device, you can go ahead and get a third-party application. A lot of laptops come with third-party, like Cyber Power DVD or whatever. They always come with these third-party things. So you probably won't lose DVD playback, but Microsoft's citing that there's a sharp decline in DVD use on PCs, and there are royalty costs involved with this, so they don't want to include that anymore. But Windows 8 will support Dolby Digital Plus codecs in all versions of Windows 8, including Windows RT, which is, I don't think, technically 8 anymore. It's already built into Windows 7, Home Premium, Pro, and Ultimate. Now, an announcement about Media Center. People are really angry about it again because Microsoft made an official announcement, although they said this before. Media Center is not included in Windows 8. So in a blog post today, Microsoft addressed Media Center. They said they decided to make Media Center available to Windows 8 customers via the Add Features part of the control panel.
That's the upgrade thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So if you have Windows, previously they had said that if you have Windows 8 Pro, you buy this economical add-on, and you can go ahead and have Media Center. Now they're saying if you have Windows 8, you can get the Windows 8 Pro pack, which means you'll have Windows 8 Pro with Media Center. If you have Windows 8 Pro, then you have to get the Media Center pack.
Wait, is Windows 8 Pro pack Windows 8 Pro with a pack? Or is that a pack that you add if you already have Windows 8 Pro?
That'd be nice if they cleared that up.
Apt-get install VLC, problem solved.
Right now, there's no clarity on that yet. That's the thing. People in the comments of the post are like, "What? Wait, exactly."
What is Windows 8 Pro pack?
Yeah, and is it cheaper than going with getting 8 Pro and then getting the add-on?
Oh my gosh!
I'm sure they'll probably make it the same cost, maybe, but it just seems like it's a strange line to do for something that it's obviously a piece of software they want to kill off, and they don't want to support it very much. And it did have the built-in DVD stuff, so that's probably why they're trying to offload the cost there. But it's got a lot of people upset
and confused. I mean, I don't happen to be in the camp of people who are upset, but I'm very confused by all of this. It's like you say that then it's going to stay in Windows 8. That was the word that I heard at the end of last year, and then it's not, and now it's confusing. And it's like, are you better if you don't go Pro and then you upgrade to Pro? How does that make sense?
That's completely in line with Microsoft's entire Windows 8 strategy so far. Confuse the hell out of everybody trying to cover it and people who want to buy it. Because will it run a desktop? Will it not have a desktop?
It keeps it in the news. Maybe they're not getting the press that they would have otherwise gotten from us saying, dude, it's so great. But they got to stir up some stuff like, let's start parting out the features. This version probably doesn't even come with Explorer.exe or Service Host. That's an extra pack.
That's in the Windows
You have to pay
App
extra
Store.
for DLLs, too. That's the DLL pack.
Oh, wow.
You want to run this stuff? That'll be
executing. That's an add-on.
This is Windows 8.
Driver support?
I think you hit the nail on the head, Darren. Download VLC. If you want to play DVDs, just don't forget about it.
And also, is Microsoft going to pass the savings on to the customer since they're not having to pay that license fee?
Well, they're supporting a lot more codecs. That's what I think their trick is. They're like, we're not going to pay for that.
I get the strategy, which is like moving people to web video and buying from the Zoom store or whatever.
Save them any more money on the.
Yeah, I don't know either. All right, let's take a quick break and thank our sponsor, GoToMeeting by Citrix. Being able to attach a face to a name is important. Being able to look somebody in the eye in a meeting and let them know that you trust what they're saying. Give those nonverbal cues. That's all things that are really hard to do unless you're in person. And a lot of these days, with the way business works, people are impossible to get together in one room, and that's why we recommend GoToMeeting with HD Faces. Just used it yesterday. We had a meeting here at TWiT with a bunch of people all over the country, and we could sit there and we could see them. They could see the look on everybody's faces. We could collaborate in real time. We could try out their product on the screen. It was great. GoToMeeting by Citrix is easy, too. It just takes a webcam and a click to collaborate in group HD video, and you'll feel instantly connected, even if you're thousands of miles apart. Plus, It's available on your tablet. You can use it on an iPad on the go. I could have taken it and walked around and left the room here. That would have been rude. There were 3 other people in the room with me. But if you're not all in the same room, just take your iPad. Go anywhere you want with it. It's really, really good video, really clear. And it made that meeting a lot better than it would have been if we were all on the phone trying to what are they saying? I can't. Are they joking now? I can't see. Are they smiling? So anyway, check it out. Don't have to take our word for it. Go and try it out free for 30 days. Visit GoToMeeting.com, GoToMeeting.com. Click the Try It Free button and use the promo code TNT. And we thank Citrix and GoToMeeting for their support of Tech News Today. On to a new iPad.
What?
2. A new iPad 2.
Oh.
Wait, so that's the sequel to the new iPad?
No, this is actually a variant on iPad 2 models. Chipworks notes that Apple is now shipping some iPad 2 models and all third-generation Apple TV devices with the 32-nanometer A5 processor built on Samsung's power-efficient high dielectric metal gate process. Now, you can't tell if you're getting this iPad or not without taking it out and turning it on. I'll show you that in a second. But what it does is increase your battery life 20 to 30%, according to AnandTech. Because it's using a 32-nanometer processor, it actually doesn't take as much power. That new A5 with the 32-nanometer is more power efficient than the previous A5. They're using this dielectric metal gate because it counteracts current leakage when you get down to that scale. But the upshot is 15.8% better battery life when browsing, 29% better while playing games like Infinity Blade 2, and 18% better in video playback. And it saves Apple money on production. With the decrease in size, Apple can get a much higher yield of usable processors on a wafer. AnandTech suspects it's a trial run for 32-nanometer chips that would be in the next iPhone. But if you go into an Apple store and say, hey, I want one of those new iPad 2s, I hear it's iPad model 2,4, there's no way to tell on the box. And they're not making all the iPad 2s with the 32-nanometer processor. They're only making some of them,
So
which is why AnandTech thinks it's a trial run. You have to open up the iPad. You have to install something like Geekbench, which is a benchmarking, and then you can see the model. Now, this is the new iPad, so you can see the model number is iPad 3,1 on mine.
But it would say
2,4 if you've got the 32-nanometer processor in there.
But then you've already opened it up, and then I guess you could try to take it back. And no,
you usually have to pay the 15% restocking fee.
Well, if you do an exchange, would you have to pay the restocking fee?
Oh, I don't know. You could just sit there all day.
But then you're not
What would your
guaranteed you're going to get the
reason be?
next one. It's like, I want the iPad with the 32-nanometer processor.
Are they even going to... Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. I mean, if you're just doing an exchange.
They might just keep giving
like
you the wrong one to spite you.
It's like
They won't even know, though. They can't tell. That's
True.
the crazy
That's
thing.
true.
yeah, because they don't print it on. It's not like when you go to get milk and you reach to the back to get the milk with the best expiration date in the back. I'm assuming the
I do
iPads
that
in the
too.
back are going to be the good ones.
Yeah.
So maybe just
Depends how good the stalkers are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
you're
might
right.
just be like lazy, whatever, put them in front.
Craigslist, eBay. If you're lucky enough to get one that's a 2,4, go sell it.
Or you
charge
could
a little
just
extra, 32
get a
nanometers.
3.
Or you could just buy a new one. Yeah. But then you don't get the battery life. This actually has better battery life than the iPad
Dope.
new 3, whatever it's called.
You think anybody's not going to get upset about this, that they didn't get the one with more battery life? Or they just want an iPad 2? What difference does it
I
make
don't know
to
if
them?
people get upset about it because they didn't get it, but I think people will want to get this one and will be upset that they can't tell whether they're getting it or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could see that. I'm more intrigued with the fact that they're testing out these chips, and that's what the phone's going to be using, or they're going to be moving to a more power efficient thing, because the new iPad packs a giant battery in there, and it manages to have a good battery life. So if you can keep getting these smaller processors in, and they get a higher profit margin, because the new iPad and the iPad 2 cut into the profit margins, which is actually why they didn't have a record-breaking quarter again or something like that, because they sold these iPads at such a high cost compared to what they usually cost. So I'm just intrigued about what's happening on the business side. The consumer side, I'm just like, yeah, I don't think anyone who wants an iPad 2 is like, oh no, the battery life is so bad. If it was a huge difference, like a 50% difference, I think this would get people ticked off.
I don't know, 20% though. That's quite a bit.
I'm going to say 50.
You'd have to have 50 for it to make a difference.
Now I'm just being arbitrary.
All right, let's move on.
Seems like a hassle.
Let's move on to something that actually seems a little arbitrary. In documents filed yesterday, a lawsuit is being brought against Nokia by Robert Chmielinski, a Boston area attorney who is also a Nokia shareholder and claims that Nokia told investors that Nokia's conversion to a Windows platform would halt its deteriorating position in the smartphone market. It hasn't. And in fact, Nokia reported a $1.7 billion loss for Q1. And he says Nokia had actual knowledge of the misleading nature of the statements they made or acted in reckless disregard of the true information known to them at the time. This artificially inflated the price of Nokia securities and operated as a fraud or deceit.
Well, how is our friend Robert Chemlinski going to prove this? There would have to be some sort of an email saying,
defer
no, everyone,
to our attorney.
Keep it on the down low, everybody. We're going to get through this month one way or next.
I mean, we were basically looking for evidence of that there's some kind of email chain of we're never going to make profit on Windows Phone. This is our we know that in this quarter it's going to be a huge loss and it'll continue to be a failure. And that's a kind of a bizarre thing that you'd be looking for. I mean, I assume you'd have we might take a loss for a little bit, but we're going to recover and we believe this is our strategy. And that's why it's our strategy, because that's just the standard. But I mean, this kind of suit, this stuff happens a lot. So it could just be some crackpot saying, your plan didn't work so great. But
yeah, I'm an angry shareholder.
And these kinds of things, I'm just there's a business judgment rule, and if basically your board didn't act in a manner that's obscenely crazy, it's fine. So this
and Nokia followed all the SEC regulations that require you to say, we can't predict market conditions, things may change, don't take this as on faith.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's a whole lot of variables.
They followed all that stuff.
Yeah, there's so many variables that you have to take into account when you're doing this in the first place. So this is a shareholder who's upset. And this is your right as a shareholder. You're allowed to sue the company you own. And
this is also, this is what, if you have shares in a company, the company doesn't want to fail. In most cases, a company is not intentionally trying to fail. So it's there was a pivot. It doesn't look like it's going very well, but you can choose to get rid of your shares, right? Instead of saying, you lied to us.
Yeah. More lying.
Or you can get upset and think that wishful thinking is unlawful, It is against the rule for you to think you're going to do well and not do well, especially if you told me and I buy your stock. Nokia is reviewing the allegations contained in the complaint and believes they are without merit. No surprise there. Nokia will defend itself against the complaint, they say. And no surprise there either. What is surprising is the FBI wants to break the security of all your software. Well, they just want to be able to peer into social networks and Skype and IMs and other kinds of things of that nature because, they're losing a little bit of ground here. You got to give them some credit. They were doing some awesome stuff back when, wiretapping was easy as tapping your home phone line.
Back in Watergate, they were killing.
Yeah, they were kicking butt in Watergate. But, since then, technology has been improving, and the FBI proposed legislation back in 94 that became law called CALA, or the Communications Assistance for Law Enforcement Act. Basically, what it does is allow telecommunications providers, or at least that's all it covered at that point, allow telecommunications providers to facilitate an easier means for the FBI to do some wiretapping. Right?
They got a thing at the office that allowed them to plug in and easily tap with a court order.
Yes, with a court order. And so the thing is, right now the FBI is proposing laws that would require social networking sites like VoIP providers and instant messengers and web email providers to also provide some facility to make it wiretap friendly. This is all
because they already have this for ISPs because of an amendment in 2004, right?
Yeah, in 2004 they were quietly lobbying the FCC for the longest time, and CALA was extended in 2004 to include broadband networks and ISPs, but the FCC didn't grant them anything for unmanaged instant messaging services, VoIP services, FaceTime, Google Hangouts, even the in-game chat on Xbox Live, and so now. They kind of want that, since 2006 they've been complaining or been worrying about this whole going dark problem of theirs, and that is the surveillance capabilities are diminishing as the technology is advancing. So this legislation, while it's been approved by the Department of Justice, actually hasn't been hasn't made it to Capitol Hill. The White House hasn't sent the FBI's CALA amendments up the chain, and the FBI, they don't see this, the expansion of CALA as being an expansion of existing wiretapping laws, meaning they don't see this as
because they still need a court order.
Still need a court order. They do now and they will in the future, hopefully. But this would just allow them to work better with the, Facebooks and...
Well, it would require anybody who has a significant customer base to add code that allows the FBI to snoop on any of the people who use that
There's actually
service.
a threshold, too. It's like, if you have X number of users, well, then you got to put in your code some sort of backdoor. And they've even said, like, it doesn't have to be, like, the most beautifully sanitized data. We can figure out your API, you know. But
isn't this hilarious when all of our other stories about Facebook seem to be about how there's not enough protection of your privacy and anybody can find out anything about you on Facebook?
They're already friending
Why
you.
isn't the FBI just finding it out the way everybody else is?
Well, they
Hack
do.
in
I mean, no, they've got
with a court
agents
order.
that friend you and things of that nature. But, they can already...
Are you an agent?
No.
How many of the people following me on Facebook are agents?
I don't know.
I should
don't
stop
know.
public tweet or public.
Well, anyway, the point being, they can already tap your phone line and they can already tap your internet service provider. It would just be easier if they could just go ahead and get at the database over at the Facebooks and Gmails of the world with a court order, so that they could, get the same kinds of data.
I do want to emphasize that this is the FBI saying we only want to do this with a court order for criminals. This isn't, I want to just be able to wiretap anybody anytime because I'm casting a wide net trying to catch the terrorists.
Well,
that is happening in other agencies. In this particular case, what they're saying is with a court order, going after the bad guys that the court agrees are bad guys, just like in The Wire, we want to be able to tap. And and it's hard enough to get phone taps, but we can't even get at the people who are using Skype. So we need a backdoor into Skype that allows us to tap it. So I understand the frustration.
It's almost as if the FBI is being sensible because there's some sort of oversight there, whereas
couldn't
other
they just packet sniff
agencies don't have to. Well, exactly.
And
they
break
could.
encryption?
Well, actually, they've
With a
wanted
court
to
order.
they've wanted to break encryption for the longest time. I mean, even in 2010, there was a proposal to
I
put
don't
in
want them
backdoors.
to break PGP like they tried
Well, that's
to
what
do.
they want. They wanted research in motion to give them backdoors.
But then the bad
their
guys
encryption.
can get in and break encryption too.
Exactly. And in fact, that's what in the 90s was being fought between, government agencies and crypto researchers. And the researchers won. And that's why we have awesome things like PGP and OpenPGP. I mean, it's vital for business that we do today. SSL, when you go to Amazon to buy something and it's securely encrypted, we wouldn't have that today if things had gone another route.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's lots of hackers out there who probably are in our chat room right now who would be willing to help you figure out how to get this data without having to put a backdoor into any piece of software.
Yeah. It's just easier if they can just get at the database.
I know. And that's what it is. It's not about going dark. It's about not having to spend as much time and effort.
Well, and then there's things around that, because even if they tap your ISP, if you're using things like Tor and if you're using like darknets, and
China
using,
can get into Tor. Talk to China. They're breaking into Tor right and left apparently.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I would agree that most exit nodes are probably run by an agency or two.
It's just funny that every security story I read, there's always a worry about privacy leakage or a crack. And then when the FBI comes in and says, this is all uncrackable, I'm like, that's not what I've been reading.
Yeah.
I've read there's even vulnerabilities in Tor that you can get at. So
and AES.
You're just talking to the wrong people. All right, let's move on to the news fuse. After about 2 months, Apple updated its iPhoto iOS app to finally acknowledge that it uses OpenStreetMaps, like we all knew. When Apple introduced the iPhoto app, people noticed that Apple dumped Google and appeared to be using OpenStreetMaps, but it did not include a credit, as is required. The OpenStreetMap Foundation believes its volunteer mappers helped resolve the situation, and credit has now been given where credit was due.
NPD Display Search says that by the year 2016, tablets will outship notebook PCs. NPD expects that Apple will eventually lose some of its market share to Android and Windows RT, formerly Windows on ARM, over the next 5 years. The study also expects that 30% of tablets will be using AMOLED screens in 2017. Only 3% of those do right now. So a lot of things are going to change in the next 5 years.
Forget all about that Samsung Galaxy S3. That's old news. That was yesterday.
Never heard of it.
Good. Perfect.
Yeah.
LG has a brand new Optimus LTE2, and it comes with 2 gigabytes of RAM. If you see the picture, that's one of the big graphics on there. Wireless charging and ice cream sandwich, although they didn't mention what kind of processor is going to be in there. It's set to hit Korea in mid-May. LG also announced that the Optimus L7, it showed off at Mobile World Congress, will arrive in Europe later this month.
You know, the iPad's not the only thing getting a little processor switcheroo. If you bought an Alienware M14X, M17X, or M18X and it hasn't shipped yet, well, Dell's decided to do you a solid. They're going to be upgrading your processor to Intel's latest Ivy Bridge line automatically. Now, the kind of processor you're going to get really depends on what you bought in the first place, but they're getting something comparably priced.
John McAfee, founder of McAfee Antivirus, was arrested in Belize by that country's gang suppression unit for possessing an illegal firearm. McAfee claims that the charges are fraudulent, and the real reason he was arrested was because he did not bribe a local political boss. McAfee was released the day after he was arrested. He should have subscribed to the protection plan.
He also said the gang suppression unit killed his dog.
Yeah.
Oh, he did?
Yes.
I missed that part.
Yeah, it's a bad story, anyway you slice it. Inside of Facebook's amended IPO filing is news that Yahoo is looking into asserting more patents against Facebook. 16 Yahoo patents, in fact, are in question, and they may be relevant to open source technology. As of now, Yahoo hasn't sued Facebook over infringements of these patents, but the looming litigation may be partly why Facebook valued itself under the $100 billion mark.
A whole bunch of automakers have gotten on board to standardize fast-charging electric vehicles. Now, major automakers, including BMW, Ford, GM, and Volkswagen, have announced they will support a common format for their EV charging ports. You'll be able to charge your electric vehicle within 15 to 20 minutes, and the standard port will be demoed at the Electric Vehicle Symposium later this month.
Does that mean if you've got an older car, you might have to get an adapter dongle?
You need a dongle for EV.
Car dongles. All right, another way to you want to find out another way about how Samsung and Apple are kind of imitating each other?
Always.
Making money. According to an analyst firm, Asimco, Apple and Samsung combined to take 99% of the mobile phone industry profits. Apple alone nested 73% out of every dollar made by the phone makers. And one reason for this situation is that Motorola, Nokia, Sony, LG, and RIM have all been making negative money. It's not the kind of money you want to be making.
This is one time you don't want to be the 1%.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
I'm not sure how one might define abuse of power, but this might be an example.
It's a negative 1%.
Los Angeles federal court records were unsealed Wednesday in the case of the U.S. immigration seizure of hip-hop music website DeJazz1.com. The documents detail a secret government process in which a judge granted the government repeated time extensions to build a case against DeJazz1.com, even though in the 13 months given, no evidence was ever presented. All right, let's move on to the randomizer and holograms.
Randomizer.
You know, you were saying yesterday, Sarah, that all we ever talk about is lasers. We also talk about holograms.
Yeah, well, there's a certain theme
Lasers
that goes on
and
in
holograms.
our pre-shows.
Yeah, a Queen's University researcher has created a device that transmits life-sized 3D holograms, allowing people in different locations to video conference while virtually standing in front of each other. This is the future of GoToMeeting with HD faces, GoToMeeting with HD 3D bodies.
Love it.
Well, I mean, every time I see these videos or see the images of this, I always hope that the camera is right around the eye level of the person, so otherwise you're not like looking over here while this amazing hologram is there.
Do you think it's actually going to cause people to do that thing like they used to do in like 3D video games where they're playing on their computer and they're all like trying to look behind a wall, like turning their head?
Well, it's a big cylinder that you stand, so you actually could walk around it and see behind the person.
So the other person has to stand like a holodeck full of cameras.
Think about it, you guys. We're all going to be doing the show from our couches, but it'll seem like we're sitting here.
So
You don't have to be here.
Well, wait.
Hologram TV.
Does our couch have to fit in the cylinder, or wait?
Well, I don't know. We'll figure out the details of that. The
yeah,
point
right
is,
now you stand in front of the cylindrical pod. The pod sends your image to them. You see theirs in the.
But
in
it's
the pod.
just it's what it is the projection going onto a convex mirror that then goes onto an acrylic cylinder. It's not like R2-D2 blasting out, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope."
No, unless he had a cylinder there, but I don't think he did.
No, I don't think he did either.
They should merge these with floor speakers, so then you could have like speakers one time, and then you're like, I want to talk to
speakers to
somebody.
Sarah.
I know,
right
but that's what I'm saying. Cylinder one time, the other time you're talking to somebody.
speakers.
Or television
Floor
programming that you can walk around and see in different angles. Like, oh, I wonder what's going on in this, scene. Like, what's happening behind the shooter, and you walk around behind him.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool too.
Yeah.
Let's see what's on the calendar.
Happy International Day Against DRM, everybody. Yes,
DRM.
This is the day where the Free Software Foundation's Defective by Design campaign urges you to celebrate DRM-free media and boycott DRM. In fact, Boing Boing has a few cool links that'll help you learn a little bit more about how and where you can participate. So you definitely want to check out that link. It'll be on our notes. Also, this is a duly special day because it's the 4th and...
It's May the 4th.
Yes.
Which means May the 4th be with you.
Yeah, that's right, Tom. I just wanted you didn't have to... All right. Yes. May the 4th be with you. I thought you guys were going to talk about this earlier in the show. I can't believe...
I was proud that I made it all the way to this point without using the joke.
Show without saying May the 4th be with you, which always makes me sound like we're in Spain and somebody can't say it quite right. Happy Star Wars Day, everybody.
Or as they're calling it in the chat room, Quattro de Mayo.
Quattro de Mayo.
Doesn't make it obvious that it's Star Wars Day.
Also, Wired.com. I'm not sure if they came up with this quote or if they're quoting somebody else, but I thought it was funny. Episode 4 comes first. It's just good parenting. The Samsung Galaxy S3 U.S. sign-up page has gone live. Also, some HTC One X AT&T pre-orderers have said, yay! My phone's already arrived. The official launch is Sunday the 6th. And Next Berlin conference starts next week in Berlin, May 8th and 9th. Darren?
I'm also having a party for our season 100, episode 1. It's our next binary episode. That's going to happen in May of 2056. We hope to see you there.
I'll be 89. I'll be
Put
sure
calendar.
to have someone wheel me there.
It's in the calendar.
Totally.
There you go.
Scooter X pointed out we have Cinco de Mayo and then the 6th of May.
Oh, I love that.
Oh my gosh!
What's incoming?
Incoming message.
Knocked himself in the head.
You broke
forcibly like
Iyaz,
that.
Scooter X.
Just let it go. Let's go to the emails, huh?
Adam in West Virginia wrote in, said, "Hey, TNT crew, just finished watching yesterday's episode about using lasers to create a data connection. I remember an old episode of Hack 5 where they used a pen laser pointer and amplitude modulation to stream music from a computer to a stereo system. And he's even got a YouTube link to it.
That's right. We did use light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation.
Look, oh my gosh, look at that.
Yeah, we're like 21.
It's little Hack 5s.
I know.
Oh my God, they're so young. What?
Wow.
The original article was from a website that's SciToys.com, made by a guy named Simon Field.
Oh, we can move on now, guys. But all right. Actually, neither of those are me, so it's all
Yeah,
right.
I was like, why are you so embarrassed?
Yeah.
I know. It's just looking back. The good old days. Next email from Steve Honecker II. Amazon tech support was #1 on Consumer Reports, he says, and I'll tell you how easy it is to get to them. Go to Amazon.com, scroll to the bottom, click Help, click Contact Us on the right side of the page, tell them what you want help on, and then when you get the option of email, live text chat, or phone, that's when you put your number in and call you. More companies should do phone support this way. No annoying hold time, just watch TV till they call you. Basically, this is in
Comcast.
reference to us saying that sometimes it's hard to get a hold of various companies, Facebook, Google, I guess Amazon.
I said Amazon thinking about S3, thinking about web services and issues that I had getting a hold of them a few years ago in that situation, not thinking about the retail arm, which is what everybody else thinks when you say Amazon.
Right.
And we got several. I didn't realize how many Amazon fanboys there are.
I've never actually tried to get a hold of Amazon one way or the next, so I don't have an opinion.
But Comcast actually does the thing where they'll call you back, and I never trust that. I'm like, no, I'm staying on the line with you people. I'm not letting you call me back. You'll never call me back.
Yeah.
That's a trick. That's a trap. It's May the 4th.
Yeah, let me do that
Akbar.
joke. I could have done that joke for you.
Well, I was faster.
Blew it. Anyway, trust issues. Anyway, let's go back to you don't trust the Comcast guys to call you back.
Right.
That's the joke. Anyway, Joe wrote an email about Facebook privacy thing. Here's a story. A good friend of mine is about to become a real housewife. Different show, but will be on TLC, so the audience is about the same. I tried to tell her and her family, since airtime is about 6 to 12 months away, now is the time to shift to a strategy to handle the inevitable vitriol and fanfare that the internet is famous for. Of course, she thinks she's got it under control, so I had a non-friend of her look her up, and she is not as private as she thinks. Being the nature of the show, the amount of negative fanfare is going to be huge. Comparing to my limited exposure on my totally unoffensive, non-sensational podcast, I get about 30% very hateful, hurtful comments. Being around people in showbiz a good portion of my life, I knew to just look for good, constructive criticism and not pay attention to the hate. So my comment is an example of how non-tech followers, casual users, etc., really have no clue of how this whole social media thing works. And my question is, how do I help without being the typical apathetic IT guy? I know for a fact this individual is very sensitive to things like appearance, weight, etc. So I have to address this with a bit of told you so, before I have to say, I told you so.
If she's concerned with things like appearance and weight, among other things, this is even more of a reason for Joe to help her out. So she can scrub all these unflattering things off of the internet if she cares about
she's
stuff like
ignoring him. How does he do that? How does he get her? How does he make the point?
Probably comes with a few examples like, do you like this? Do you like this? Do you like this? Because this is easily scraped off of your Facebook page right now.
He should send her to some YouTube videos and say, why don't you just read the comments? You know, this is...
shock therapy.
Shock therapy, yeah.
Right. Huh.
Some use cases.
Or dig.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Or he can compile a site based on those images, make like a little private blog with a password protected. Like, look at all the stuff I scraped. This is right here.
Yeah.
This can be scraped by anybody. That way it's not so, like, it's not out there in public. And
at least it's like, even if she gets offended, at least she's not going into it blind. I would want to know.
He should go over to Paterva.com and grab a copy of Maltego, Maltego, and use that to crawl and index all of the social networking sites for her information. Then just give her a nice little report and say, here's a little dossier. You might want to fix these. It's kind of like doing a pen test for your social life.
That's exactly what it is. That's a good idea.
Do that to yourself now.
What is it called again?
It's called Maltego, Maltego from Paterva.
All right. Well, that's it for this show. Thanks, everybody, for watching or listening, for voting in our subreddit, technewstoday.reddit.com. That is the place to go to let us know what things you would like to see us cover on the show. I know they finally made a real lightsaber, was up there in the votes, but we did a laser story yesterday, so we had to do holograms today. It's the law. You can vote, though, and we do take it into account with every show, technewstoday.reddit.com. Also, if you liked a particular moment in the show, anytime, any point, send it to us, tnt@twit.tv. That's our email address, and just put best of in the subject line. There's not a special email address for it. Just send it right to tnt@twit.tv, but put best of in the subject line so we know that's what you're referencing. And we'll save them all in a folder, so when Jason makes our best of show at the end of the year, we've got all the best clips, and they're not all from December, and it makes it easier for Jason.
Yes.
So you've had your Hack 5 party. Mm-hmm. We've got 47 years to wait for the next binary episode.
Yeah.
But what happens in the meantime?
Well, in the meantime, you can go and watch the epic episode that is Hack 5 Soon 11, episode 11, where we teach you how to roll your own Dropbox using Secure Shell. So you don't have to pay for all that storage when you could just kind of build your own thing. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I like it. All right, that's it for this show. Find us on the web, twit.tv/TNT. We stream live Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. You can email us, tnt@twit.tv, as I mentioned. You can also give us a call, leave us a voicemail. Our phone number is 260-TNT-SHOW. We'll be back Monday with all new news, an all-new show, and Simon Dingle as our guest. We'll see you then.